And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, today we're going to be talking about your boy, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. You know, just a couple of days ago, his city suffered a very devastating series of events in which during the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony, where probably tens of thousands of people were out in what they call the Loop or downtown, there was a group of hundreds and hundreds of teenagers. They did what's called a teen takeover. They swarmed. They got into physical altercations. 9 people were shot. The initial reports were 5, but it looks like up to 9 people were shot, with one 14-year-old teenager losing his life. Now, a lot of people are criticizing your boy because his easy on teen policy has probably contributed to a lot of teen delinquency in the city of Chicago. There have been major, in fact, not only have there been calls for a teen curfew, but the Chicago City Council actually passed a teen curfew, and your boy, he vetoed it. He vetoed it. So people are taking him to task. And one particular clip that's going around about him is this one. Take a look at this.
Look, demonizing children is wrong. We have to keep them safe as well. Have you ever taught middle school? I have. Have you ever raised young people? Do you understand the risk that young people take just because they're young? Do you know that home plate is at the bottom of my stairs? I found that out when my son was sliding down those stairs trying to score. They're young. Sometimes they make silly decisions. They do. And so we have to make sure that we are investing to make sure that young people know that they are supported.
So in the aftermath of the shooting, there have been many arrests. The police have found many guns, but it seems like they still don't have a suspect as to who actually killed the 14-year-old victim who lost his life, y'all. Let's take a look. But before we do, y'all, we are launching our official Patreon. So if you want to be a founding member on our Patreon, we have just 222 slots, y'all. If you want to be a founding member, go down, click the very first link in the description, and you're gonna feel good about this, y'all, because believe it or not, we are an actual paralegal school, and we help people get their paralegal certificate and get working in the paralegal field. And all of the proceeds from our Patreon, when you enroll as a founding member, all of that is gonna go to scholarships for people who would like to study at our institute, y'all. So click that first link down in the description. Join us as a founding member, y'all. This deal will not come back. Now let's get into the story.
We're learning more about that teenager who died after Friday night's Loop shootings. Mayor Brandon Johnson says it's not clear if the 2 shootings were related. Asal resigned the newsroom for us now, and Asal, the latest in that search for the gunman. That's what you've got for us.
Yes, Suzanne, Mayor Brandon Johnson saying 18 arrests were made Friday night and 5 guns were recovered in the aftermath of those shootings. It's something he called a setback for the city. 14-year-old Armani Floyd was killed. 8 others were shot between the 2 crime scenes. The victims between 13 and 17 years old. This all happened just hours after the Millennium Park tree lighting ceremony. Gunshots went off just before 10 o'clock Friday night at State and Randolph. 7 teens were shot there. A half hour later, more gunshots were heard at Adams and Dearborn, a few blocks away. 2 more gunshot victims there, including 14-year-old Floyd. Mayor Johnson saying they were aware of social media posts alluding to a teen takeover that night, and letters were sent out to CPS families. The Chicago Police Department even put out an extra 700 officers on patrol.
What we put in place did not do enough to prevent what we were concerned about from actually manifesting. Our young people have to understand that they should not attend these unauthorized events that have been advertised on social media.
And as far as anyone responsible for those shootings, police don't have anyone in custody. Right now, Cook County Crime Stoppers is offering a $10,000 cash reward for any information leading to an arrest. Live in the newsroom, I'm Asal Razai, CBS News Chicago. Suzanne.
Thanks so much, Asal.
So over the past several months, as the Operation Midway Blitz, the federal surge of immigration enforcement flooded into Chicago and did their thing. Yep. Oh, you know, he had a very helpful excuse of what to talk about. He didn't have to talk about his own failed policies. He didn't have to talk about how he's illustrious sub 10% approval rating. He could talk about Trump. He could talk about ICE. He could talk about CBP. He could talk about welcoming city all day and night and distract from the fact that people in his city are being beaten, being robbed, being killed, being harassed, being set on fire, that they're being punched, like multiple people, different people just walking around punching women in the face for no reason. He didn't have to talk about any of that, or hardly, not as much as he should have had to, because ICE, now a new report does say, y'all, okay, and we have to be real and honest. It says that the immigration people were out there doing things they weren't supposed to do. So we're going to take a look at that as well, because this is something we should also be aware of. And in fact, we should hold all of our law enforcement personnel to the highest of standards.
We begin here at 5 with our first look inside a more than 200-page critical opinion from a federal judge. The topic, Operation Midway Blitz. It outlines in detail what the judge called lies told by Border Control Commander Gregory Bovino. Our investigator Dave Savini pored over those astonishing findings.
That dude was talking! What are you doing?
September 19th, violent clashes outside the Broadview Processing Center throughout the day and into the night. In court, Commander Greg Bovino stated his agents were met with an unruly mob refusing orders. But according to Judge Ellis, the video evidence disproves that protesters were the ones refusing orders and acting violently. Almost immediately and without warning, agents lobbed flashbang grenades, tear gas, and pepper balls at the protesters. September 26th, more tear gas and pepper balls, and according to the judge, more contradictions.
They were shooting them directly at people's faces, torsos.
Leah Kunkel shot this video.
I heard someone yell something like, on your right, they're ambushing you.
The judge wrote body-worn camera shows agents shoot pepper balls and tear gas at them without any apparent justification, a direct contradiction to an agent's report saying protesters were becoming increasingly hostile.
It is a black eye.
Eric Ballier spent 25 years as a federal agent and retired from ICE's Office of Professional Responsibility.
My hope is that this can be somewhat of a lessons learned on how to better plan and execute operations.
And when it comes to Bovino, the court specifically finds his testimony not credible. He appeared evasive at times, outright lying, including during his deposition about this event on October 23rd in Little Village, during which he threw tear gas. He said it was because he was hit in the head by a rock, but later admitted he was not hit until after he deployed the tear gas.
We had gathered in what was then being referred to as the free speech zone.
October 3rd, Kyle Frankovich and Juan Munoz, an Oak Park Township trustee, say they were grabbed and tackled by federal agents. The court order states Commander Bovino led the cohort of 50 to 75 agents, which walked directly to the protesters gathered in the designated protest zone. Bovino then grabbed Munoz by the shoulder, pulled him to the ground, smacked his phone out of his hand, and placed him under arrest.
I was not told that I was accused of anything.
When law enforcement operates outside of the law, the Constitution, and policies, then there are and there should be accountability for those actions.
And it looks like the immigration enforcement officials actually arrested up to 600 people who they maybe should not have arrested due to what's called a consent decree, where they had agreed only to arrest certain people, and they may have overstepped their boundaries. So a judge previously ordered those people free, but then another judge blocked that order, so those 615 odd people will be staying in detention for the time being.
To the federal immigration crackdown, where advocates for immigrants' rights are condemning a new court ruling that is blocking today's planned release of hundreds of local detainees. Yesterday, a federal appeals court temporarily halted the release of those prisoners from the ICE detention center in suburban Broadview.
At the end of the day, we will be right in what happened here, that in fact this government not only brutalized and terrorized our communities, but they violated the law thousands and thousands of times.
The new court order means that those hundreds of immigrants will not be released from federal custody for at least a few more weeks.
So yeah, y'all, now that Operation Midway Blitz has wound down, at least much of the activity has moved to other cities as it relates to CBP. I believe ICE is still in Chicago, but the CBP, the Customs and Border Patrol, that activity has gone to other cities. Your boy, he won't have that convenient foil, you know. He won't have that convenient boogeyman to talk about to distract from his own disastrous mayoral failures. So y'all, let me know, what do you think? Do you think that this causes another push for a teen curfew? Do you think that your boy, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, continues to avoid the obvious conclusion that no, teens are not monsters, but some teens definitely display monstrous activity and you have to control them? Like, the number one thing you have to do, he talked about his son sliding down the stairs to home plate. You know, that's cute. That's a cute story, right? But don't you control him? Like, once you see that, don't you tell him, no, you don't do that, right? Once you see teens doing activities that are dangerous, on some level, you tell them to stop. You make them stop. If they don't want to stop, you control them. That's what the curfew was meant to do, right? I mean, it was meant to give you a legal avenue to control kids. It wasn't meant to demonize anybody. It was meant to control people who are minors, whose brains have not fully developed. It's funny how he talked about his son sliding down the stairs into home plate and saying, kids don't know. Yeah, man, that's why you do the curfew. I mean, if you need to, right? I'm not saying just do a curfew preemptively, but if you need a curfew, you do it because kids don't know. You know, kids are not fully developed, so you have to control them. Now, again, if there's no need for it, there's no need for it. But if there's a need for it, there's a need for it. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below in the comments. But before you do, y'all, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Y'all check out the Patreon. It's the first link down in the description. Want to thank y'all for watching. Love y'all. And we will see you back in the next one.